Today I'm going to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Deception Murder in Hong Kong. This is a social deduction game in the vein of kind of like the Resistance meets Mysterium. I think that's how Shut Up and Sit Down described it, and that's pretty accurate in this game. The basic gist of it is that one player is a murderer, you don't know who they are. One player is an investigator who knows exactly who the murderer is and knows the evidence they planted or the evidence that links them to the murder and the murder weapon. So two different sets of cards are either the murder weapon or the evidence. Every player has, except for the investigator, has 4 of each of those types of cards in front of them. So every player has 8 cards in front of them. And the murderer opens their eyes with the investigator at the beginning of the game when everyone else's eyes are closed, and they point to one murder weapon and one piece of evidence, and they close their eyes. Everybody opens their eyes, and you go and you begin the game. And the investigator is basically trying to give clues to the other players to help them identify the murderer. And it's the way the clues are given, one particular element of them especially, that I think is my favorite mechanism of the game. Basically the investigator, in the middle of the table, they have a number of tiles that have words on them, words that are somewhat associated. There's a location tile that might list 6 or 7, maybe 8 different locations. There are tiles with descriptors or nouns. There are all types of words on these tiles, and usually they're themed around something. Like you might have a tile of items that you might find in a hospital. And the investigator takes these little bullet tokens, these nice tokens, and they can place one on each tile next to one of the words. This in itself is very clever. They're conveying through this very limited information to all the people who aren't murderers and to the murderer, because no one knows who the murderer is. They're conveying what the murder weapon and what the evidence is to these other players. But when I put down, if I'm the investigator, as I was in the game that I played, when I put down one of my little tokens, I cannot really, I'm not telling players if it's evidence or if it is, or if it's the murder weapon. I'm conveying something to them, but they don't really know what. And this is where the really clever element comes into the game. And I kind of have to think about what the game could have been. The game could have required the investigator, while everyone's eyes are still closed, to put down all these tokens and then reveal them, and everyone sees all the clues all at once. It would be, I think, about 6 different clues. But that's not how the game works. The key here is that the timing of when the investigator puts these tokens down can have a huge impact on the way the discussion flows. So everyone, say the investigator puts down one token, the players have to go by something. So the investigator puts something down on the word red. And so players might start to look around the table to see what they mean by red, and they might look around and see a few different red objects. And as they're discussing it, as they're pointing out these objects and talking about it, the investigator can then use one of their tokens to put it down somewhere else on another card. And they can do this, if you do this well, you can do it in the middle of this discussion in a way that really focuses that discussion. So maybe everyone's talking about 3 different objects that are all red, and I put down a clue that says metal. Maybe it says metal, or it says cold, or maybe it could say anything. It could say any noun. Say hammer. Oh no, it wouldn't say hammer, because hammer would be a weapon. It would say cold. And then players are suddenly really focused. They're not only looking for something that's red, they're looking for something that's also cold. And it can really help them hone in on a specific thing. So if you use that timing really, really well, you can help all the investigators. But at the same time, the investigator, or not the investigator, all the other players, they really need to pay attention to that timing. For example, in my game, I wasn't doing a great job with giving the clues. I was doing my best to use this timing element and to give good clues. But the trail had kind of gone cold. Everyone was focusing on one player, and that wasn't the player. And so I put my clue on the word cold in the hopes that they would see that the trail had gone cold. They were talking about the wrong player. No one got it. It did not work. But I felt clever doing it. And maybe in the future someone would pick up on that if I put the word cold, or if there's the word hot, you put it on hot. That means they're really focusing on the right player. So I really, really like this element, that the timing of when the clues are given matters to all the players who are trying to figure out the murder weapon in the evidence. I really, really love this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on games that also have limited information that use timing as a key element to convey and focus the problem the players are trying to solve. Or you could talk about your favorite element in murder deception in Hong Kong if you'd like. I'd love to hear that as well. Thanks.